There is one task that sits at the center of most analyst jobs that AI cannot do yet. Not because of a technical limitation that is 6 months from being solved, but because of something structural about how decisions actually get made inside organizations. We will get to that, but first you need to know that if you are your internet is a genuinely vulnerable position. Let me be precise about what AI does well analytical work right now, not Hidomo, but in corporate environments where finance teams, strategy teams, and operations groups are deploying these tools today. The first is data aggregation and cleaning. This used to eat 30–40% of an analyst's week. Pulling from multiple systems, reconciling formats, hunting down the outlier that breaks the pivot table. Tools built on large language models and code generation AI can now do a meaningful portion of this in minutes. A mid-sized manufacturing firm in the Midwest replaced what was a 2-day monthly data consolidation process with a pipeline that runs in under an hour. One analyst, one afternoon to set it up. That work is not coming back. The second is variance analysis, the bread and butter of FP&A. Actual versus budget, period over period, segment by segment. AI can now generate a first-pass narrative explaining variances with reasonable accuracy, pulling from the numbers directly. The output is not perfect, but it is good enough to be a starting point, which means what used to take a junior analyst a day now takes a senior analyst 20 minutes of editing. The junior analyst role that used to feed that pipeline is under real pressure. The third is visualization and reporting. Dashboards that once required a dedicated analyst to build and maintain are now being generated from natural language prompts. You describe what you want to see, the tool builds it. This is not a future capability. Power BI Copilot, Tableau Pulse, and several purpose-built tools are doing this today. The analyst who spent half their time in report-building mode is losing hours they thought were safe. The fourth, and this one surprises people, is scenario modeling. Give an AI model a clean data set, define the variables, and it will run sensitivity analyses and generate scenario outputs faster than any human. It will also explain the outputs in plain language. For straightforward models, the AI version is faster and less error-prone than a tired analyst working a Friday afternoon. So if you are keeping score, that is data prep, variance narrative reporting, and scenario modeling. For a lot of analyst roles, that is 60–70% of the actual work hours. This is not speculation. A 2024 McKinsey survey found that across finance functions, early AI adopters were reporting 20–40% reductions in analyst time on routine analytical tasks. Some firms are not backfilling roles when analysts leave. Now here is what nobody tells you, and this is the part that actually matters for your career. AI is extraordinarily good at answering the question you give it. It is not good at knowing which question to ask in the first place. And in most organizations, the question selection is where the leverage lies. Let me make this concrete. A retail chain was trying to understand why one region was underperforming. The standard analytical work, the variance reports, the comp store analysis, the margin breakdown, all of it pointed to the same answer. Traffic was down, conversion was flat. Every metric said the same thing. An AI running on that data would give you a clean, well-formatted report that said exactly that. Problem diagnosed. Except the actual problem, identified by a senior analyst who knew the organization, was that a new district manager had changed the staffing model 6 months earlier in a way that was burning out store leads. The financial metrics were a symptom. The cause was invisible in the data because it had never been entered into any system. That is the task AI cannot touch. Not yet, possibly not for a long time. The ability to know what is not in the data, to have a conversation with the store manager, to read the organizational politics well enough to ask the question that produces the actually useful answer. This is sometimes called problem framing, sometimes called hypothesis generation, sometimes called judgment. The label does not matter. The skill is knowing where to look when the data does not tell you where to look. This is not a soft skill in the dismissive sense of that phrase. It is a hard, learnable capability. And it is what separates analysts who are being automated around versus analysts who are becoming more valuable as AI handles the execution layer. Here is what this means practically for where you should be putting your time. If you are still the person who builds the reports, you need to stop being that person. Not be the analysts who are gaining leverage right now are the ones who have handed the execution to tools and moved up into the framing layer. They are the ones sitting in rooms with business leaders, understanding the actual decision that needs to be made, and then designing the analytical approach that will produce a genuinely useful answer. The reframe is this: your value is no longer in producing analysis. It is in diagnosing what analysis needs to happen and why. One action you can take today. Take the last 3 projects you delivered. For each one, write down who defined the question. Was it you, or was it handed to you? If someone else defined the question and you executed the analysis, you are in the execution layer. That is where AI is strongest. Start asking, in your next project conversation, before you open a single file, what decision is this analysis meant to support, and is that the right decision to be making? That single habit, practiced consistently, moves you toward the framing layer faster than any tool or certification. The analysts who will be well positioned in 3 years are not the ones who learn to use AI tools fastest, though that matters. They are the ones who understood early that AI changes what the job is, not just how the job is done. The job is no longer producing analysis. The job is producing clarity for people who have to make consequential decisions. AI can generate 100 pages of analysis. It cannot yet walk into a room, read the situation, and tell you what the real question is. That gap is your career. Protect it and expand it deliberately. If you want to see how exposed your specific role is right now, there is a free audit linked below. It takes about 4 minutes and gives you a clearer picture of where you actually stand, not a generic answer, but one mapped to the kind of work you do.